We use the calculator, the Ti30XS, and this is for a couple different courses. The first one will be Math 410, and we'll look at how to input these kinds of problems. And then in Math 13, 14, I encourage you to watch the 410 content as well, and then we'll look at how to enter a quadratic equation, converting from square root to decimal, and then just making sure you know where the log and ln, and we'll add the E button onto that as well. I'm going to be using an online version of the calculator. And if you want to look this up, I just Googled Ti30XS online version. And this is a free thing. So if you're interested in using this at all, you can. And let me get this set up so I can see the problems we're going to look at. Okay, so for Math 410, let's just start by adding two fractions. So your fraction button is right here. And you can input, let's say we have 7/8. Use the arrow button down to get into the denominator, and then arrow to the right to get out of the fraction, and then plus, and then I'll set up another fraction. Let's say we have 2/3. 2 on the top, arrow down, 3 on the bottom, arrow to the right to get out of the fraction. If I had anything else to do, let's say maybe I had minus another fraction, make sure you're hitting this minus button. That is different from, ooh, all these ads, different from this as the negative. So this is minus, this is an operation, this is negative, that's the sign of a number. Okay, so let's put in another fraction. Let's say 4/5. When you hit enter, it's going to give you the most possible reduced answer, not showing any of the work. For Math 410, you'll need to show the work on this, but this will give you a way to check your answers. Let's look at another fraction. Let's say we have 12 divided by 18, and I'm going to multiply that by 13/14. Again, it gives you the most reduced answer possible. If you keep typing problems, it just keeps memory of everything. I'm going to choose to clear this out and go on to another kind of fraction. Let's say I have the fraction 18/20. If I just simply enter that fraction and hit enter, the calculator is going to reduce it for me. Again, if you're in Math 410, you'll need to know how to do that. However, knowing that the calculator can do that for you can be a great support. This button, I call this the converter button. If you hit that, notice that it went from a fraction to a decimal. If you hit it again, it goes back decimal to fraction. So that converts between forms of numbers. Percent, do you see how that's green? So any of these buttons that have green on them, you're going to need to hit the second and then that button. So let's say I have 8 and I want to say percent, so second and then percent. If I hit enter, it converts it to a decimal. Let's see what happens if I hit that converting button. I can even get to a reduced fraction form. Notice that 8 would be 8/100, but the calculator is reducing that to 2/25. If I hit it again, I just get the different formats of the number. The square root is located right here, so I would need to hit the green. So if I want to type in the square root of 25 and hit enter, that would be 5. For this square root, let's say I wanted to type in an order of operations under the square root. I'm just making up stuff, so this isn't going to come out nice. But my point is, as I'm typing, notice that that square root bar is being extended. Okay, versus if I type in 25, but then I want to get out of the square root and type in, oops, and I want to get out of the square root, I would arrow to the right to get out from under the square root and then type in whatever else my expression has. That's a different one than I had just typed because of the length of the square root button. So that would be, oh, there it is. Order of operations. Let's put in a whole thing. So let's say we have a fraction and we have the square root of 25. I'm going to get out of this square root and type in some more stuff. Let's say I want to square that 9. There's two options. I can hit that. This button is specifically just for a squaring. But let's say I have another number and I want a different exponent. I want a 3 exponent. This button, that upward arrow, takes you into the exponent. And let's say I have -12 in parentheses, and I want to make that to the 3rd power. When I hit enter, this is doing all of the work for me. Again, in 410, you're going to need to show that work. But there you can check your answer that way, or you can even do parts of the expression. You could take in just that top part and do it piece by piece. Again, this video is just about how to enter things into the calculator. Okay, so that's the top tips from Math 410. Math 1314, let's look at how to enter a quadratic equation. So you would start off with a fraction button, and for us, we're going to use an A of -1, a B of 4, and a C of 6. So negative, make sure it's that one. Didn't take. Negative B. Now your plus or minus, you can only do one of those at a time. So plus the square root of, make sure this one gets in parentheses, B squared minus 4 times A, which we're using a -1, 4 times A times C, which is 6. To get to the bottom, you arrow down. And for us, formula says 2 times A, so 2 times -1. If you use this button for your negative, the minus for the negative, it's not, you'll have syntax error. So there's your answer. If I want to see what is that as a decimal, this button. And then I can go convert it back and forth between a radical expression and approximation of a decimal. Okay, logarithms. Here's your log button. When you hit that, your calculator opens up to ready for you to put the argument in. You can close your parentheses, hit enter, you've got a decimal approximation. If you happen to hit a log that comes out perfectly, it'll show you that, a whole number. Your ln button, natural log, is right here. Enter, that'll give you the decimal approximation. E is right here. So second E, it automatically prompts you to put in the exponent. So you'll always have an exponent on E. If there is no exponent, remember that's an understood one. So E is approximately 2.718. Let's